What is up, guys? Wraec is here with a new video, and today I want to talk about the post by the community guide team. They made a post about the best or most used heroes in Dreamrealm. In my opinion, everybody really needs to take a look at it and reconsider for a second which heroes they want to summon for their account. It kind of sheds some interesting light on which heroes are really good at the moment, so definitely want to take a look at that. Before we do that though, 70% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel, so definitely make sure you hit that button. And also there is a survey in the description made by Avatar that you definitely want to check out, because, well, he always does nice surveys. We always take a look at them on this channel. This time around it's about the female heroes in the game, so definitely make sure you check this one out. Let's see. Guess no Tazi skin for me yet. 300. That's quite sad. Okay, so the post. So this is essentially what they posted. AFK Journey, Discord, the main Discord, Dreamrealm, top damage formation, hero picking rate by community guide team. What a name. But it is really what it is. So this refers to the picking rate in the highest damage formation of Dreamrealm bosses before the Endless mode. They leave a little bit unclear which highest damage formation, if they just like evaluated that from the game files, because, well, the AFK Journey guide team, while consisting partly of players, you can apply for it. It seems like the first images were made by AFK Journey themselves, so not like by anybody who applied for being there. So they should have some extra access to the files. So it stays a little bit unclear whether they refer to their own graphics or whether they refer to like the real in-game best team on every single server. Still, nonetheless, in any way, this is very, very interesting. First of all, the first thing you notice, Elijah and Layla, the twins, 100% usage rate in the Dreamrealm highest bosses before Endless mode. 100%. I remember the time when the twins were released, and we had like this initial form of them, which was a little bit too weak, and then it was the testing on the Pioneer server. Then this got buffed and was super strong. I remember that this buffed version that was stronger than the version we had right now, some people still said it was bad, and now we have a weaker version than that, and it's 100% use in Dreamrealm. Why is that the case? Essentially, they did the very expected thing of releasing the most overpowered support heroes, or most powerful support hero we have ever seen in this game, just like we would expect from them when they release a Celestial hero. They are really now in every single formation. We can check this formation out, for example. You get the link, you get extra stats on your heroes, you get haste, you get energy recovery, you get so many things that probably at this point, I forgot one, maybe you can let me know down in the comments if I did. And the dance, we get unaffected. We get so many useful things that they not only have made it to many PvP teams, we saw very fancy PvP teams with them, but of course in Dreamrealm also to all of the teams. And even for the Primal Lord, they were used all the time, which kind of made me think, well, we had the Celestial Hypergen Summoning Aura. This was already adjusted, with twins now being the second hero that most people say you should summon, going for Fresto first and then going for twins. But honestly, this statistic, it makes me think about whether it would not be right to go twins first. I've recommended to a few people that were like doing Skalita or doing like Teline, to just say, okay, put a stop to that, you're now at Mythic Plus, leave them there and just go and get the twins, because they are that good. And they are such a huge asset. I like using them in almost every team. We see them in AFK stages as well. I've rarely seen a hero being that omnipresent ever since Fresto, I think. We see them in PvP, we see them in AFK stages, Primal Lords, Dreamrealm, everywhere really. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And accompanied in this matter or in those teams very often by Sonia. And the first teams that we saw in Dreamrealm when this season started, they were mostly a combination of Sonia and Sinbad. We saw Sonia shine last season, definitely, not to the extent of an 88% usage rate, but definitely quite often, same for Sinbad. Sinbad now also in many other teams. We saw recommended teams for Glyphshade, for example, the guild boss with Sinbad, also with the twins, of course, because every single boss now uses, well, we set twins and then we set the rest of the team. He wasn't quite used as often as Sonia because Sonia was used with other damage dealers as well. So for the rare cases where another damage dealer other than Sinbad was used, for example, Telene or, well, one of the ones below, Sonia was often accompanying them because Sonia can provide like a huge attack buff. But very often it was this combination of just like Sinbad and Sonia. And I just quickly went ahead and chose the boss that we haven't fought for the longest time, which is Orson. And you can see it's just like this combination here. Sinbad with the as majority damage dealer, really. Sonia providing a little bit of extra damage, but mostly there for buffs. And it often looked something like this, with Sinbad in the bond, and often time with Sonia as well in this special situation. Apparently not. I don't quite remember the team. We can take a look at it. The thing about Sinbad and why he's used so often right now is really he has infinite hits essentially with his ult, and can hit for a ton of fist damage. And if you buff him a lot, he becomes a monster, really. And we now have access to a lot of buff. We have access to a lot of attack speed, to a lot of haste buff, which allow him to hit even more often, dealing a ton of damage, really. And if you buff his attack through the link, well, then that is an absolute madness. You add Sonia on top of that, he gets very nice defenses through it, because you not only buffs attack, but also Fist Def and MDef, and you have an absolute unit of a team. And especially for the start, and this is a little bit of a difference we have to make here, because you might get a very wrong idea of what they can really do. I want to say once again, this is before Endless Mode. Now that we are in Endless Mode, and we deal more and more damage to those enemies, they get more and more defense. This was a mechanic introduced in Season 1, and the defense goes higher and higher, and this, of course, well, makes it better to use heroes that can work against those defenses, if it's by debuff or with a more common use of true damage. So this is the reason why we see something like Presto down there. Presto is a super common hero in Endless Mode. He isn't quite a super common hero before that. Before that, it's way better to have heroes with high multipliers, or in Sinbad's case, achieving the high multiplier of his percent attack through like having a ton of hits, which in turn, well, I mean, like, it doesn't really matter if you deal 10 hits with 100% damage, or if you deal 1 hit with 1000 damage, comes out to the same. And he will do way worse if the defense of the enemy gets higher. And you can sometimes already see that if we fight a Primal Lord, for example. You will see towards the end of the battle, you really start to slow down. You really, the damage they take, this really starts to slow down. And at that point, that is really the point where you reach the sweet spot where true damage overtakes fist damage. And the true damage dealers that in general have a little bit of a lower multiplier on their hits, they start to overtake the fist damage dealers like Sinbad. And before that is really about the best damage dealer for fist damage and magic damage, and usually that used to be Odie, and this had me super surprised on this one. I mean, we saw the Telene matters, and I definitely had some teams during the first initial phases here where Telene did the best for me, but then we got to, it was usually always Odie that you could use, and now we see Odie at 13% usage at the same level as Lenya. And I have to say, this surprised me a lot. Same for Smokey, 13% now. Smokey, I mean, also has his percent HP damage that we are probably going to use a little bit later. It's also probably going to be pretty good at Endless. Didn't expect Bonnie to do well here. Harak fell off, fist damage dealer still 13%, so not too sure. We have to say he wasn't used in too many Dream Realm fights before, but seeing him now at 13%, I mean, is kind of interesting. And the 13% for Odie certainly makes you rethink a few things in your summoning order, because, well, on the one hand, it has a reason that he is P4 for me. He's a great PvP character, he's a great character for AFK stages, and a must-have hero of every single account, but it certainly played into his usage that he was also great for Dream Realm before Endless. He is one of the strongest damage dealers for there, but saw no use now. The good thing about it is, if we check out the all-hero recruitment, it is not really about like deciding whether or not we go for Odie. Odie has one more that is wrong. I didn't want to get here. Odie has one more advantage that we haven't really talked about, which is, well, he doesn't really compete with the heroes that we use. We will put, of course, Sinbad right there. We will go for Sonia. If you have watched my all-hero recruitment, my wishlist guide, that is already set up like this. But he is there in the Mauler section for 8 tier, and we don't really have anybody there that would take preference over him or would be preferred to be summoned before him. We can very well go for Odie there, which you absolutely should, by the way. Get him summoned up, get him to Supreme Plus, get all the stuff on him for the Mythic Plus, and then we set him up. So he's not really gone from the meta in any way. But it feels like he lost his position as a boss damage dealer. And we also have to talk about those 25% for Talene. Because, well, for some time, Talene used to be like one of the heroes that we would summon a lot. And now I have to say, well, aside from Relentless Rumble, going for high score, and some PvP use, arguably, she definitely took a hit. I feel like she is moving towards off-meta. I really feel that way. I really feel that way, that she's moving towards off-meta. Is still in the Dream Realm fights, but this is really only a matter of time. If you reach like the 25% to 13%, there are alternatives at that point, obviously. So, is a question of what we do. I guess 25% isn't too bad. I mean, for 25% of the top damage teams, she was still in there. So it's not too bad yet, but certainly there was a time where we saw like more towards 100%. So the movement downwards is definitely there for Dream Realm. Some of those heroes definitely move out of the way, and I think it is fairly interesting to see that. Also, by the way, I have prepared 90 summons, so we can do those now in the meantime. So this is definitely an interesting thing to do. I'm personally very interested in discussion about whether Twins could make it to place 1. Because we have, of course, some other tanks that we could go for some time, and especially if you start like at the beginning of a season and maybe spend a little bit. If you are a spender and you go like towards your first Supreme Plus fairly fast, like me, for example, like it took me like 1 or 2 weeks, I guess, and then I was there as a spender. I think going Twins first could be an advantage. Could really be an advantage. So. It's definitely an argument to be made there. I wonder, like if more people come to this conclusion. Analytica is very democratic about such things. It's always a little bit of a voting, as far as I understand it. But I feel like there is an argument to be made that this could be a good play. And I definitely like the Twins. Though they are squishy. They are squishy at the beginning, but not to the extent many people feared. Many people were like, oh, it's 2 heroes, they're just going to get one-shot. And it turns out, no, not really. In Dream Realm, they are a little bit more vulnerable to that. But they also heal up fairly fast, so that works out. And as long as it's not really one-shot, it is okay. And I guess with Endless, the higher we get in terms of level, the safer, more secure we are on that. So, by the way, not super lucky summons, I just noticed. But yeah, just going to go get a few more Hugin copies, because I'm still jealous for that Brownie Games Hugin P3. It's not okay. It's one of my favorite heroes, I have to say. One of my favorite heroes, and one of the summoning priorities now for Lightbearer, interestingly enough. But how do you feel in general about the community guide teams? Like, I think they did a pretty good job. Even the ones they did where I think there was like no player involvement yet, even those were pretty good, and I mean they put high quality in there. So it's really not too bad. If you've never seen them, they usually post them on Reddit and sometimes also on YouTube. So. Interesting. There's like a little guides for bosses and everything, some infographics. Pretty good stuff. Yeah. So, that all being said, tell me what you think about this list. Did you expect especially stuff like Odie to be that low priority now for Dream Realm? And what do you think about the Twins? #1 summoning priority, yes or no? Tell me all of that down in the comments. And with that, I wish you a great day, and we'll see us in the next one.